Every single day is like a battle between your immune system and the microorganisms you are constantly in contact with. Hey, it's Board Badger here, guest hosting for American Eye. While we don't want you to live in a bubble for the rest of your life, it's important to understand what is worth putting time to clean so you don't catch the zombie apocalypse virus. Germaphobes, you've been warned. Grab your hand sani and your Lysol and get ready to learn about 11 surprisingly gross things you need to clean. Number 11. Your cell phone. We carry it around with us just about everywhere. It's in your hands a few times each hour on average. You might even use it while going to the bathroom. The phone screen is one of the grossest things you can touch on a regular basis. According to one study, cell phones carry 10 times more bacteria on them than toilet seats, and they've even been known to carry the Ebola virus on them. Oh yeah, and when's the last time you've cleaned your cell phone? Oh, that's right, just about never. The biggest threat people put on themselves from getting germs on cell phones is from sharing them. Your body's probably used to your own germs, but not quite used to somebody else's. The phones are always in front of our mouths, which leads to bacteria from saliva getting on them and is a surefire way to get someone else sick. So the next time someone asks to use your phone, you have a decent reason not to give it up. Number 10. Hotel rooms. When you get into a big, cozy room during your next vacation, just keep in mind that dozens of other people have stayed there before you, and you really don't know how well they've cleaned the room. You might expect there to be a little bit of bacteria in the bathroom or sink, but there's probably a few places where it might surprise you. One of the dirtiest things found in the rooms is the TV remote control, which often contained E. coli. Much of the rooms contain sky-high levels of bacteria on sofas, curtains, and the room service phones. On average, the hotel maids take about 30 minutes to clean each room and use the same mop for each place. This basically just spreads pathogens from one room to another. This means you might need to do a little bit of cleaning next time you're on vacation, even if you're trying to escape from your chores. Number 9. Restaurants. We all know that restaurants will pride themselves on cleanliness, and we normally don't want to think about all of the gross microorganisms lurking around here. It's not even the bathrooms that are the worst. Most people will wash their hands before they eat. Have you ever thought twice before you grab that salt and pepper shaker, put some on your fries, then proceeded to eat the fries with your fingers? While condiment bottles rank pretty high on the germiest places in restaurants, salt and pepper shakers ranked in at number 4. How often is someone even considering cleaning those things? Next, lemon wedges somehow came in at number 3 because of restaurant workers grabbing lemons with their bare hands before slicing them up and putting them in your drink. Many of the menus contain bacteria which can lead to strep throat, and the seats you were sitting in contained the most bacteria. Microbiologists studied some swabs from restaurant seats, and they found that 71% of them contained at least 17 different strains of bacteria, including E. coli. Maybe it's best just to grab it to go. Number 8. Shopping carts. How gross is that shopping cart you're using? Each time you go to the grocery store, you probably bring out a shopping cart, throw your bag and even sometimes your kid in there without realizing that these things rarely get cleaned by employees. Dozens of people are probably using that same shopping cart each day who've left behind some gross bacteria, especially if you're shopping at a Walmart. On top of that, they're also known to be cross-contaminated with germs from raw meat and dairy products that may have gotten on there. Shopping cart handle seems to be the worst spots which harbor bacteria and viruses from saliva. Since parents are known to place their kids there, there's been evidence to suggest that at least 72% of shopping carts contain fecal matter. Just leave your kids at home already. Number 7. Airplanes. Don't get us started on airplanes again. These modes of transportation are basically breeding grounds for bacteria, and you're probably aware of it. But just in case you're not, allow us to remind you. The filthiest part of the plane actually turned out to be the tray. Microbiologists scrubbed various parts of commercial airplanes to see which areas had the most bacteria. They found out that it was actually the trays from 4 different cases. It turns out that this was the least clean part of the plane, and janitors rarely have time to clean out each one. But wait, there's more! An EPA study found that 1 in every 8 planes failed the agency's water safety standards. Airplanes' tap water is used in the coffee and the tea, and bottled water can be very scarce. The EPA actually discovered that the tap water was infected with salmonella and even insect eggs. Disgusting! It was also discovered that the longer the flight was, the more bacteria the tap water contained. And don't forget, blankets, pillows, in-flight magazines, touchscreen entertainment systems, bathrooms, and seat pockets are also crawling with bacteria, so watch out! Number 6. Your keyboards. Basically, most things that make contact with your hands are going to contain a large amount of germs. But you should probably clean your keyboard in order to keep it working well. Especially if you're eating at the computer, you probably get crumbs all over it and those get stuck in between the keys. The keyboard hazard gets even worse if you're in a public location such as a college library or an office where you share seats. In some studies, they proved that keyboards were germy enough to be called public health hazards, and your mouse really isn't that much better either. There were 5 times more germs on keyboards than on toilet seats. Where the crumbs of your food might leak, germs will flourish. Germs are really everywhere, and the best thing we can do is just wash our hands and not to eat and use the keyboard at the same time. If no one else is really using your keyboard, then you don't have quite as much to be concerned about. One way to avoid some germ infestations at the office is to use a bamboo mouse, which is naturally resistant to fungus and bacteria. Number 5. Can openers. Although this one might not be quite as bad as some of the other things we've mentioned on this list, you probably never thought about cleaning your can openers. They're one of the most commonly used utensils in the kitchen, but many experts warn you that it might be a utensil of infection if you don't clean it. According to some studies, can openers can be a breeding ground for germs such as salmonella, E. coli, yeast, and mold. All stuff you probably don't want in your can of SpaghettiOs. If you're eating some type of canned food that contains meat, it might get into the can opener, get infected by microorganisms, then get onto your spoons and forks, just wreaking havoc all over the place in the kitchen. Most people just don't even know that they need to wash it. If you get sick from your can opener, don't say we didn't warn you. Number 4. Coffee machine. Even our morning cup of coffee could be infested with germs. Oh my goodness! Keurig coffee machines almost seem to be the perfect breeding ground for numerous infections, including staph infections, strep throat, and E. coli. The damp, warm environment essentially turns the Keurig into a swamp-like area after the water is run through the machine. Scientists recommend cleaning it with vinegar as often as possible. Little colonies of microorganisms in the water tank were found in many different samples, and it can cause a serious upset stomach. Calcium can even build up in the tubing system, which is a whole nother story. It's important to wash your hands before using the coffee machines, and to change the coffee grinds once you've made your coffee. It's hard to say exactly what would be left of the microorganisms after the water's heated up, but it's still best just to be safe. Don't freak out and toss your coffee machine out the window, you'll survive. It's just important to know what you might get exposed to if you don't. Number 3. The kitchen sink. One of the germiest places in your home, the kitchen sink should not be overlooked next time you need to get some cleaning done. They found that the kitchen sink contained an average of 17,954 single-celled organisms per square inch. Even the kitchen sink might have more germs in it than a toilet after it's been flushed. Sheesh! Our food gets washed there. The food left at the bottom of the sink gets eaten up by bacteria, and a lot of the food we put down the drain doesn't go to waste. You guessed it, they'll eat that too. So it's important to not only clean the surface of your sink, but to have some kind of disinfectant to pour down the drain as well. This can also make your home smell much better if you haven't done it recently. In really bad cases, worms can even start crawling around underneath the faucet, so keep an eye on it. Number 2. Toothbrush. The thing you clean your teeth with should be clean, right? Before you put that toothbrush in your mouth, keep in mind that it could contain more than 10 million single-celled organisms, including things like staph and E. coli once again. At any given time, there's at least 100 species of bacteria living in your mouth at this very moment. You can almost see the bacteria moving around on this thing. Although it's recommended to change your toothbrush every couple of months, your toothbrush isn't too likely to make you sick once your mouth is already full of bacteria anyways. Keep in mind that if you brush too hard, it can actually push some of the bacteria underneath your gums, which will lead to toothaches and even cavities. So yes, in a sense, brushing your teeth can lead to cavities. Another rule you should keep in mind is to never brush where you flush. Number 1. Your sponges. Another tool designed to clean is the sponge. But you might not have known that the sponge is the dirtiest thing in your home, where bacteria just grows like crazy. The sponge stays wet after you use it, which makes it a quality item to get infected. E. coli and approximately 362 different types of bacteria. What's even crazier about sponges is that the different types of bacteria have even been known to hybridize in these conditions. Anyways, we aren't necessarily experts in microbiology by any means, but we can safely tell you that you should consider finding a couple ways to dry them or disinfect them. One way would be to at least leave it outside on a dry day, or to clean one in boiling water then put it in the microwave to dry. Once again, we aren't trying to turn everyone into germaphobes who live inside of a bubble and can't make human contact with anyone, but keeping in mind what you could be exposed to should keep you a healthier person in the long run. And thanks for having me today. If you want to hear more of me, come check out my channel, Bored Badger. And thanks, have a good one, y'all.
It's just a prank, bro. Any suggestions on future videos? Let us know in the comments section and maybe we'll feature your video next.